understand what it's like for other people. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's a great point. And, class, kind of gender, race, whatever. Yeah. And it might sound a bit morbid to kind of look at it like that, but I think it's absolutely true. But the question they operate, and they are volunteers as well. So they've got a couple of ambulances that generally they kind of help out with if the public services need them. But they are at full stretch now. And Lecce there, for example, yesterday, the president of the Lecce Italian Red Cross, he messaged me and said that from the coast where Lecce is, right in the hill there on the east side, they had to go to the west, which is Gallipoli, by the Ionian Sea, to pick up 4 patients to bring them to the hospital. So this is a whole regional thing supporting 1 million people. So if you would like to donate, there's absolutely no pressure. Have a look down the back of the sofa, look in your pockets. Even €2 would cover the cost of basically a pair of rubber gloves that would stop them potentially spreading this to another person. So it literally every penny counts, and I'll show you the link. Exactly, or every cent counts, because I think it was set in euros. But you get what I mean. Right, we've got some more people turned up here, which is nice. And hello to Magic Flute O with a nice blue top there and a nice goatee beard. It's good to have you in the house. We've got Italiota. Okay, excellent. We've got Shaz still hanging around. So good to see everybody. And we've got somebody else as well, Mr. Collins 93. Right, we'll move on to the next slide then. And this is just a few snaps to give you a sense of what is going on down here. And again, I don't want to talk too much about it. I don't want it to be too kind of regional centric, because I do appreciate that many people haven't been to this part of the world. They might be thinking as well, why aren't the funds, why aren't you talking about the north of Italy or other parts like Iran or China, which have massively suffered, even the UK and America? The thing is, it's, I try to maybe give the sense that if you could do something small in your community, even raise £100, pounds, dollars, whatever you want, it could create this ripple effect and get you thinking about what you could do, which could have this knock-on effect in the wider world.
And is it maybe also the idea that, I mean, the bigger regions kind of automatically get all the focus because they're big, so should try to shine the spotlight on the ones that might get forgotten a little bit as well?
Yeah, that's a great point as well. And I guess 2 other points is you kind of on that, it's kind of that underdog situation. And again, I don't want to kind of make it like north, east, southwest, Europe versus Asia, and who's got the most cases and they deserve this more than us. It's not about that, but it's about actually trying to spread the love, as I said before. But also it's this other point that I've lost my train of thought already after 5 minutes.
Well, I think personally you're down there, and that gives you that emotional connection and passion.
Yes.
You're down there, you're on the street, you want to help where you're at. It's natural.
Yeah, that's right. And I think as well, we live in a world which is becoming so globalized, obviously, and so interconnected that sometimes it almost desensitizes you to what's going on in your own community, in your own kind of backyard, and it gets you looking outward, which is not a bad thing. That's a great thing. But the thing is it's like when it comes to action, we need action now, and I can't necessarily get the resources out to the middle of nowhere in Iran because maybe I don't have the connections, because I did try. That was a consideration, of course, but I can do something right now, concrete, tangible. Give them the cash, let's go. So it's that kind of ethos as well.
There's that phrase, think global, act local. Yeah, think of the global implications, but when you're going to start acting, you've got to start where you're at. Think global, act local, and this is a great example of that.
Yeah, I like that expression. Okay, good. I don't know if that's too much to ask, but we should get that stuck on a wall somewhere. Absolutely.
Yeah, we should. We should.
Because they got the logos up in like 10 minutes. I'm kind of interested to see what they could do if we give them kind of an hour. Right, so we've got the bio containers there on the right. Obviously, we've got the kind of astronaut-looking people, and those suits cost €30. Okay, so what I said before about even a couple of donations, a couple of euros, they'll pay for the blue gloves there. €30 gets you the whole shebang. That gets you everything, and that's like going to cover you for a kind of a shift transporting these patients. So. We've got also the picture in the middle, a gentleman delivering medical and food supplies to people who shouldn't be going out or can't be going out. And then on the left, obviously, kind of these trying to divide the incoming and outgoing patients. We're going to jump to the next slide, but that's just a flavour of it. And Yeah, right. So the next 24 hours, I'm probably going to say this a few times, but I will need to run to the little boys' room. And if you're surprised in any way that I would need to do that, then I think you should probably leave right now because, when I said 24 hours in VR, this is not about me trying to push my eyeballs and my, my forehead to the limits. It's about more getting you to, or people, guests, attendees, to come here as well, and also just experience what this type of education could be like as well. So, and I'm already, like stand-up comedians, they almost kind of, I imagine they go into the gig like ready to come back at someone if they say something bad against them. I'm kind of prepared with something. So this is, I'll let you in. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, preparing for the heckle. So one heckle I prepared for is, oh yeah, but Michael, you said 24-hour English lesson, and you need to be in VR for 24 hours. And this is my response. I'm already kind of answering the heckles before they come. It's that, if you're going to go on a kind of a train journey, do you get off the train and knock on the cab of the train driver and say, oh, you didn't go on the journey with me? It's not about that. I'm here to take you on a journey, to take the guest speakers on a journey and try to share some kind of information and some culture and all of that. And we'll see where it goes. So I will need the toilet and I will need a cup of tea. I didn't put anything stronger on there in terms of beverages, but I probably will need to at 4 o'clock in the morning to keep me going. Good. Daniel, what's the, because you are one of the pioneers, and I don't use that word lightly. If you don't know Daniel Dyboski-Bryant, you need to check him out. Add him as a friend. I'm sure he won't mind me saying that right now. Click on his profile, click add friend, because you are the founder of the Educators in VR community, along with Laurel Van Fossen, a lady out in the US. And it's now kind of got a whole bunch of support as well with Donna, you've got Karen and Shaz and everybody around here as well.
We have the best
talk just a little bit about that.
Absolutely, best team in the world. Okay, so Educators in VR is about November 2018 we started, just as an idea, as a bit of a side project. We put on a monthly event and there was quite a lot of demand, so we ramped up to, once every 2 weeks, and we started a Discord server, and we were just amazed by how the community came together and how much appetite there was for it. So Laurel and I, we've gone to weekly events and even bi-weekly 2 events a week. And one of the things that makes me the happiest and also the proudest is how the community is stepping up. I mean, like yourself, Michael, you and I met, must be about a year ago now almost, discussing, English in VR, but to develop, because of the appetite for it, to develop like a track for it. And you have taken that and run with it like almost nobody else. You're really developing the conversation on Discord, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, wherever, bringing people into, and the work you're doing, you're working on so many different platforms. I really want to give a big, round of applause for Michael and the work he's doing for English language in VR, or languages in general. And just a little background, those events that we started and the track leaders like Michael and Dana Maria and other people, don't know, have we got any of the track leaders in today? No, but it's okay. I mean, we've developed these different kind of teams, tracks, and we brought that all together a couple of weeks ago on the 2020 Educators in VR International Summit, which was a 6-day event, 24 hours, and we certainly have some people here who were, give me some love if you were at the summit. Anybody? Yeah, definitely. I know you guys. I know some of you were there, definitely. And that turned into a bit of a love fest for VR, I think. It developed into something a lot more than we anticipated. We wanted to, showcase stuff and really bring the community together. But what transpired in the event was very, very moving. And the fact, I think that it coincided with what we're talking about here as well, the coronavirus outbreak globally. The timing of what we did with the summit and that outbreak has just created a tsunami wave of interest in VR and conferences, because real world conferences are getting shut down everywhere at the moment, everywhere. And so these organizers are scrambling now. How can we uncancel our event? Is VR viable? And really now we have the answer, yes it is. So the last few weeks, we thought we would have a break after the summit, and the last few weeks have been crazier than ever. It's really accelerating all of XR by weeks, by years right now. So it's exciting times, and thank you, Michael, again for the work you're doing. You're a pioneer yourself, Michael.
Oh God, absolutely. I can use that word. I can call you that, but you can't call me that. It's. I remember like 10, 15 years ago, I set up a limited company in England, and it was that realization that with like £15, you could, and that's long closed now, but with £15 and an internet connection, you can create a company, and then you could pay someone about 100. Yeah, and that's it, like £100 a year. You can get some, kind of backstreet accountant to do the numbers for you, and then it's like with not a lot of money these days, you can do that, and it cast your mind back 100 years ago. I mean, to set up a business, to kind of do anything that maybe I don't know, it couldn't go global in the way that it can now, and that's the point. And that's what really kind of inspires me, is that people, there aren't hundreds and hundreds of people in this room, but what's going on today is almost going to be burned in history forever, thanks to the YouTube live stream, which I hope is still going, or any videos or photos that people put out, and it's just a recollection of like what people were talking about when it's going on, and maybe could be a stimulus for someone out there to do some good. So we'll see where it goes. All right. So I will need the toilet and the tea, the 2 T's, and then share experience before, during, after the event. That's the 24-hour English hashtag if you really want. Obviously, tag Gold Lotus Co and Educators in VR. And I didn't really give a bit of background to myself, because they're probably thinking, well, this guy talks English reasonably. Who is he? So my name's Michael McDonald. I'm from London originally, and
really interesting. Go on.
Sorry, did I interrupt you there, Daniel?
Not at all. I was just going to pick you up a little bit, but you take it away.
All right. Yeah, thanks. From England, living in Italy, I studied German at university, so I've kind of got a languages background. That's the only thing I was really good at. Terrible at maths and science, and that was it. So 10 years ago, I was studying German at university with a big dictionary, and 10 years later, we're now immersing ourselves in these virtual worlds all together. So it's just incredible the speed at which this is happening. But I just wanted to experiment more and more with the VR technology, and last 5 years I've been doing that. Started off with the Google Cardboard, 6 GoPro cameras, and took a panoramic photo of some places in London and put them in a web browser, and with some hotspots, and people could visit, in inverted commas, that place and learn some of the language. But now, 3 degrees of freedom, we've got the Oculus Go, we've got the Oculus Quest, the HTC Vive Focus, etc. It's just becoming much more of a realistic experience, and that just opens the door to other possibilities. So I'm involved in some research with the University College London's Institute of Education and the University of Salento in Lecce in southern Italy, and we're exploring how this environments like this, collaborative learning, can build linguistic skills, collaboration skills, but also those kind of softer communicative skills as well for life. So that's what we're exploring at the moment. And we basically used a model, a 3D model of an old 1,500-year-old church in southern Italy, which we kind of resurrected, put into Ruby, which is another VR platform you might know about. If you don't know that, check that out. That's RUMII. And we can immerse ourselves in this church in full virtual reality at any point, like with anyone in the world, remotely. So we'd be using those environments to teach English and build cultural, let's say, empathy as well among people who can't get there. So just a flavour of what I'm working on at the moment. Gold Lotus Co is the website, goldlotus.co. Tag us and Educators in VR, please, and then we will, we'll be able to respond. So can I get some hearts? I know there are some Italians in the house. Can we get some hearts? Where are? Oh, there we go. Excellent, great. So we've got Federico as well in the back. I think this might be the Federico. It might be coming up at the end of this talk. Yes, okay. So you won't want to miss his talk. And he's going to be talking a little bit about reading in VR and immersive experiences that can build your reading skills. Again, not just necessarily for learning languages, but just languages in general. So that's going to be great. Have we got anybody that can speak a foreign language? Can we get some hearts or claps?
Oh, yeah. That's
yeah.
me.
Oh, Shaz and Daniel. Good. Shaz, which language do you speak?
I'm learning Italian from my grandfather. I know American Sign Language and Spanish.
Cool.
Excellent. American Sign Languages. Are there any apps out there at the moment that can kind of support you with sign language training? In VR, I mean.
I haven't run into one yet. I'm hopeful, especially with
there we
language
go.
training.
I was just I'm about next week to speak with an organization called XR Access, and they specialize in trying to make XR accessible to the blind, the hard of hearing, disabled people like that. They're doing amazing work. We're looking to collaborate with them, and sign language would be something that I'd really like to look at with them. So
Definitely.
just trigger that thought. Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Dan. Thanks, Shaz. And any other? So and now we've got the Italians, and some of the Italians in here have actually, I think, set up, or they're part of a community, which are the Italiani su Altspace, which is basically Italians on Altspace. And I think it's it's the first kind of group. And does anybody want to talk about that? I'm putting you on the spot now. No pressure, but if you do want to say anything about that, you can. Italiota. Do you want to share a little bit about that? Yeah.
Great. Hi everybody.
Hello.
My name is Marco.
Hi,
Michael, I think that you know me.
Ah, it's Marco. I do know you.
Okay. Okay. I am 55 years old. I live in the northern part of Italy. Nearby me, people speak Italian and German. So at school I studied German, but in the last years I began to study English too. So, hi everybody, I'm curious to listen today the various topics that you have prepared, Michael. Okay.
Thanks very much, Marco. Grazie mille. Thank you. Yeah, Marco. Now, Marco, can I share a little bit more about you and how I met you and what we do now? Is that possible?
Okay. Okay.
Don't worry.
No
I won't get too personal. We basically, now this is a really interesting story. Now Marco is from the north of Italy. I'm in the south, so we're opposite ends of the country. Okay, and we actually met first in Altspace. He came along to one of the free VR English lessons that I do to kind of show the potential of this technology for language learning. And so he came along, and then he messaged me after saying, "Oh, can I meet you? You know, kind of on a more personal basis, in the sense, kind of professionally, academically. Can I learn from you just individually?" So I was like, "Yeah." So we met in Rumi, which is the other platform as well I mentioned. We're going to be in there as well later on today in about 10 hours, I think. And then he also wanted to mix it up with some video conferencing. So now we do a bit of Skype as well. And Michael, I hope it's okay to share this, but then after a few days, he's like, "Oh, can someone else come on the call with me?" I was like, "Okay." And it's his 78-year-old father, and who lives, I think, above you, or 2 floors above you in the building. By the way, just give me a sad face, Michael, if I'm talking too much. And then a few days after that, he said, "Oh, can someone else join the call?" And I was like, "Well, okay." And he said, and it was his it's Brazilian-born, half Italian son-in-law, and who lives not so far from him. So that's it. So now we're at 3 people, and then a few days after that, during the lesson, I then met his daughter, the wife of the Brazilian guy, who's ironing and correcting her husband as he's talking English. And now we've also met the Labrador. We've met Marco's dog. And also Marco's mum was in the background. I was like, "Buongiorno, signora," and it was just it's just wonderful. This everybody's at home. They can't go out. Yeah,
the connectivity of wonderful.
Yeah. And I'll say this as well because Michael reflects exactly what this is all about. Okay, like it's you might look around and think, "Oh, these cool young people, like teenagers experimenting with VR." Actually, to be honest, 99% of the people that I'm meeting in VR are people with like serious needs to build English for professional needs, like learning. They want to travel. It's really great to see Marco and his family reflect that. And the other thing was the be all and end all. We're standing here right now, but just because we're in here doesn't mean to say that we couldn't have done this 24 hours on Skype or Zoom.
Yeah.
Because there are great benefits to that as well. What do you think are some of the benefits, Daniel, of maybe VR compared to Skype, Zoom, and vice versa?
That's a good question. I think one of the huge benefits of 2D is just the installed base, which means that how many people have a Gmail account and can do Google Hangouts versus how many people have a VR headset. You know, if you have a VR headset, I would choose this over the other thing. But in terms of a global solution for a situation like this right now, you need to work with what you've got. So I work at college, and we are exploring VR, like, you know, with Quest Go and Rift and all that. But I have to accept that every single of our students and every single staff already has Google Hangout. And when we're dealing with an emergent situation, you just need to start with what you've got. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I would say that whilst Google Hangouts and Zoom or Skype, they're not as immersive, it also just means you like, right now I've got my headset on and my family's around me, but I kind of am cut off from my family in a way that if I'm just looking at a Skype screen, I can listen. It's more about the conversation, but I can keep an eye on my son. I can, you know, still be aware of my wife in the background. With VR, the benefit you get from the immersion of it, you lose with the outside world in a sense. So you're kind of winning and losing some. But of course, I mean, it goes without saying that one of the great benefits of VR is that when I do, like, when I come over here and do this, I really feel like I'm standing next to you and putting my arm on your shoulder. Right? And so, I really feel like I'm sharing this space with you, which has a different level of experience. On my mind and on my emotions than if I'm just looking at a Skype screen. And I just wanted to add a couple of things there. Is when we're talking about learning a language, there's a whole school of language learning based around immersive learning, and this has nothing to do with technology. The idea in language learning, immersive learning, is when you take somebody and you put them in the context. So if somebody from the UK wants to learn, let's say, Italian, immersive learning means either you find an Italian-speaking family in Britain, and you put that English person in that family, and they only speak Italian. So you're hearing, listening, feeling, eating, speaking Italian, or you send them to Italy. You immerse them in the culture. And of course, when we're talking about immersive, there's nothing more immersive than VR. So that overlap between immersive language learning and immersive technology it's made for language learning. Just on a personal note, I wanted to add, Michael, my passion for what you're doing comes from the fact I was very fortunate growing up. My parents were teachers in the UK, moved to Germany, and my dad got a job with the European school in Germany, which is essentially like an international school, but with different language sections. So I had my main languages, my main subjects in English, but history, sports, religion, we shared with kids from other languages. So we had German, French, Dutch, Italian, and we were all mixed together. So in the playground, I was every day and all day long listening to 5, 6, 7 languages being spoken naturally. I was immersed in that. And I came away without much effort, very fortunately, speaking about 4 or 5 languages myself. And 4 or 5 languages, it sounds a lot, but you have to think that all of my peers at school, they all speak 4 or 5 languages. And we did that, of course, we studied and we had the support and everything, but it was the fact that we were immersed in that playground, in that school, in that classroom for 18 years of my life, or 15 years of my life. I was at school there from kindergarten to graduation. When you are immersed in the languages, you pick it up, you develop an ear like you don't in any other way. And so for me, the great passion, I came to VR from the language background, and it's kind of moved on a little bit now, but the potential for languages in VR, I think, is huge. And if we don't put the effort into languages in VR, we miss a real trick, because, you know, as more and more devices come in and we connect with the Chinese, we connect with the Indians, we connect with all these people, we're going to have language barriers, and we need to work on that. I just wanted to add that to what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a great point. And about that, the word immersion, there's also the C word connected to it, and I don't mean coronavirus or the dirty word. I mean context. and
Yes.
it gives you context to if you want to learn a language, the kind of, if I imagine the perfect way to learn a language, like, and I'd like to hear your thoughts as well, is that you would kind of, if you're learning Portuguese, you want to get a plane to Lisbon or Rio de Janeiro, and you want to jump off that plane, and you want to feel the heat on your face as you step off the plane. You want to hear the sounds, smell the smells, and you want to actually be met by a native speaker, maybe, who kind of holds your hand, so to speak, and walks you through the streets and tells you that car is moving past us with the grammar and explaining a little bit of that in context and all of that stuff. And it's really obviously not possible to do that in the real world, but what you can do is recreate those experiences in VR. So it gives you the best of both worlds, if you excuse the pun. So yeah, there's, to be honest, I scheduled an hour with you, Daniel. We should have scheduled the full 24 hours with you, because this is all good stuff. And I was really kind of actually happy to get Daniel along to this, because he's a very experienced language teacher, and you've actually done some work as well with was it some immigrants into your community as well with languages, is that correct?
That's right. So my background as a language teacher, I work at a college here in Wales in the UK, and I've been teaching English as a foreign language for about 20 years and about 17 years in the UK. And my students are migrant workers, a lot of them from Europe and Bangladesh and Pakistan. We also have international students, but a big new group, of course, is Syrian refugees. They're the most wonderful people, and with the stories that they've come through, the fact that they come to my classroom and want to learn is deeply humbling. And so using VR with them, I hadn't done as much work yet as I wanted to because of a number of reasons, but we're on the brink of bringing VR to them, and that's very, very moving for me. I would say I learn more from them than they learn from me, just on a life and cultural level. But they need language. For them, language isn't a hobby or like something I want to do this. It would be nice. They actually need it for survival in our community, and so the work every day feels very, very relevant and necessary.
Yeah, excellent. Good.
I wanted to ask. I wanted to do a little thing here in the room.
Sure.
Just a quick poll. Could you give me some, or give us some claps if you have heard other languages spoken in VR? Maybe you've gone to Altspace or a different platform, you met people. Okay, so quite a few people here. Can we just check? So, Nick, which languages have you heard spoken in VR?
I've heard lots of Japanese, Korean.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, not in Altspace, but in VR chat. There's a specific room called the Japanese Shrine, and that's where all the Japanese people hang out.
Cool.
And they speak their language. Sometimes I go there and I just immerse myself and try to learn their language from them.
Brilliant. Thank you. Who else? Was it Alistair or Michael? One of you was saying you'd heard languages in Altspace before. Alistair, did you send up some claps then? We'll go to Shaz.
I think it was Shaz. Yeah, Shaz.
Yeah, so I've heard Spanish, Italian now, and Russian, believe it or not.
Cool.
Which was
Wow.
very
Nice.
interesting.
All right, Karen, I think you put up some claps then. How about you?
Yeah, I've heard German spoken in Altspace.
German. So that's quite a few languages. Anyone else? Any other languages? Okay.
German.
I heard. Go on.
German as well, Michael. That was Michael, the chap in front.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, German.
Now, I want to ask the same people who've heard these languages. When you heard them, would you have wanted to kind of understand what they're saying? Hearing it is one thing, but Nick, you immerse yourself in this Japanese.
Yeah, I try to learn Japanese slowly. I've been trying it for about 3 or 4 months now. Slowly getting there.
Okay, so there's a motivation not only to passively hear it, but also kind of engage with that language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Karen, was that similar to you? You hear the language German. Does it pique your interest? Do you think, I wish I could join in or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how about Shaz? I forget which language you heard.
Yeah,
Spanish
I mean,
speaking.
I've been slowly learning Italian for years. My grandfather speaks 7 languages, so
Hmm.
talking to him, he will jump between them randomly, so it can be a little confusing. But I'm
Yeah,
slowly starting to pick up all the different things.
yeah.
It's quite interesting.
And finally, does anybody think that VR could contribute to them learning a language like that? Maybe start with Nick again. Do you think
Yeah, most
that VR
definitely.
is?
For sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna attend. There was a couple events, like Speak This Language, an
Yeah.
event. I wanted to go to the Japanese one, but I couldn't make it, which sucks.
Right.
But
Time
I
zones.
might go to the next one.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Okay, cool. What about Shaz? Do you think VR will add to your palette of tools you use for learning a language?
Oh, absolutely. If
Yeah.
not just for the fact that it allows for people over a long distance to be in the same room together, it allows
Yeah, yeah.
for it allows for not just a vocal teaching, but be able to say, oh, like this is what a whale is, and then boom, there's a
Yeah.
whale.
Exactly.
It allows for that more immersion, as you were saying earlier. It allows for that
Exactly.
extra step that is crucial.
And some platforms, like I think Altspace had it at one point and might be coming back, but I know Engage certainly, you can create a shared 360 theater. So we would all be in a shared space, but we would all be looking at an immersive 360 picture or video. Now imagine you want to learn about German and they have the famous Oktoberfest, like the beer festival in October. We could have, we could all be sitting pretty much on a bench watching the people celebrate there, or we could be in Berlin at the Brandenburg Gate, something like that.
Yes.
Then you can really be immersed in it. You can do that in 360. You can even do it in 3D. So different platforms really. How about Karen? Do you think that VR would help you learn a new language in any way?
Yeah, I think it's a perfect environment, as Shaz was saying, because you're kind of in a room with people that are speaking the language.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you're not only in the room with people, but you can make the room.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Hi, Eric.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's really interesting. So people are really into languages here. That's great.
That's right. Yeah, I think these days it's difficult to avoid them, and despite English being the lingua franca, along with other languages like maybe that's Chinese and Spanish or whatever, or French, it's really important that maybe if you haven't considered learning languages, that you might want to consider how VR might be able to help you in that journey. But I'm going to remove that image of the toilet now. I think we've seen enough of that. Special thanks, of course, to Laurel Van Voss and Daniel Dyboski-Bryant. They're both of the founders of this community, and Donna McTaggart as well, who's the events manager for Educators in VR. I don't know if she's hanging around here, but she's, I think, in Canada at the moment, so it's late at night there. And really, really appreciate the support also of the moderators and volunteers that are in the house right now and behind the scenes, because as I said before, it's made my life a lot easier confronting this. So thank you very much. If you want to spend a few euros, there is the link. It's bit.ly/24hour English. That's going to take you to the GoFundMe page where you can donate 2,000 euros of your life savings. Okay, right. Let's now actually we've oh, there we go. Now there's a hashtag that's going on in Italy. Now I won't ask the Italians this because you speak Italian, but does anybody here want to guess what that means? Andrà tutto bene? Any ideas?
I'll guess.
Yeah, go on.
All right, so bene I think means good. At the end of
Yes.
at the end of that hashtag, bene means good, and tutto, does that mean everything?
Yeah, or all
And
good. Yeah.
Andra, I'm not sure about. So something all good.
Right.
It's going
Let's
better.
ask. Yes, everything's going better. You said, Marco.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think in English that we understand that. We wouldn't really say it though. There's a slightly more natural thing. Should we ask? Now he didn't want to talk English, but I'm going to push him again. He's going to hate me for this. Benaka, come si dice andrà tutto bene in inglese?
Come si dice? I'm sorry.
Andrà tutto bene in inglese.
It will be better.
Yeah,
everything will
good.
be okay.
Yeah.
Things will be better
that's it.
than now.
Right.
Exactly.
Things will be better than now. Yeah. Yeah,
See, that's why it's good to speak Italian, because if you put it in English, it would take up like half of your Twitter character allocation. Italian is just much more succinct. Everything will be okay. I guess we could say everything will be better. Good. Thanks, Marco. Thanks, Ben. Okay, yeah. And this is a hashtag which is kind of being bandied about at the moment, and it really reflects the optimism, because before it was very much io resto a casa, I stay at home or stay at home. And in the south of Italy, they say state a casa, which means in dialect, we stay at home or you stay at home. And so there are kind of regional modifications as well. Marco, is there a dialect version of Italian that you could say for something like stay at home or everything would be okay? Let's get it going.
I don't speak Italian dialect, sorry. It's not difficult for me to
No
translate
problem.
dialect. Okay.
Okay. Benaka, where in Italy are you from?
I'm from Rome.
And is there a Roman, maybe kind of dialect expression you could say to stay positive?
Let me think about it. Tutto a posto.
Tutto a posto. There we go. Everything's okay.
You can say tutto a posto.
Excellent, good. Well, there we go. These are the hashtag. Sorry, what did you say?
If you want to sound like the kids these days,
Sorry,
you can say tutto a postissimo.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
My connection is very slow right now.
No problem. We can hear you loud and clear, though. So, yeah, we live in an age of hashtags, and that supposedly encapsulates our feelings. And yeah, this is the Italian one going around. Everything will be okay. So, at the maybe the end of this meeting, and everybody and all of the others, we can stand in front of this and take a photo, and we can send it out to the Italians and also the people around the world that maybe are feeling a little bit down at the moment. So there we go. And oh, did I mention that donate link? Yes, I did. Right, let's go to the next slide. And it is, well, actually, it's the introductory slide for this conversation, which is already 47 minutes in. But, you know, that is Daniel. I hope you don't mind me showing people your real, there he is in the flesh and bone. Barriers for language. I mean, we've covered most of this. I just wanted to have these slides really as a kind of a stimulation for if things dried up, but of course it wouldn't have.
No, it's nice to have the focus on the conversation as opposed to kind of slides of good backup, but it's nice to have the conversation in the forefront.
Sure. And you know, we're going to have a lot of researchers and other people in the across the event, and Federico is talking in the next 10-15 minutes about his research, for example. But if you're interested in how languages might be improved with VR, you can have a look at this MIT kind of research paper which is out recently, which talks about kinesthetic learning, using your hand and body movements in order to learn languages. And I think there was a group learning Spanish in VR using their hands, like, for example, cut the carrots and stuff like that. You had another group who was in VR learning the language but not using the physical movements. And then you had a group learning it on paper, typical traditional ways. And the results of that was that actually there was no significant difference between the people that learned on paper versus people who were let's say, using their physical movements in VR at this point. And this is the key thing, is that it's so early, this, you know, using this technology maybe on a kind of a mass scale, that we're still trying to work out what's good and what's not good and what works and what doesn't. So there's no shame in kind of doing research, experimenting, and not really understanding, you know, where we can take this. It's all about trying, putting the findings out there, and we can understand what things can be done best with VR and what not. We kind of touched on that earlier, and we'll continue to do so in the next 23 hours and 13 minutes, counting down the clock. So there we go. There's some more research you can look. I already said that about the work that I'm involved with regards to cultural heritage, and I want to show this video. And this is, we're going to be doing this later as well. Oh no, did I do it? It's autoplay, but here we go. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
If I'm walking to school.
Hopefully you can see that play now. And here it comes.
There's a guitar.
And this is Rumi
Land safely
talking about transport.
So it's all automated.
So we're talking about transport. So you can watch videos,
In the next sentence.
and then you can also...
Can we read that, please? Someone? Eddie?
You always have the final say if it's safe to land.
Very good. Because...
I mean...
Yeah, here we go. We've got some barriers. And this is a typical barrier system that we would use
And
in London.
I'm jumping forward now, excuse me.
In London, we have something called an Oyster card. Unfortunately, I can't show you one right now, but we touch or tap.
And we've got
I had one.
tube barriers.
An Oyster card, yes. I took it with me to Norway, and
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
An Oyster card, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And now you can refill it on the station and
That's
something like
right.
that.
God, good point. But we don't say refill. There's a different word. What would we say? But recharge. So what you go boop on here. You tap in is the phrasal verb, and then these doors, the barriers open, and you can squeeze through. Now, if you are disabled or you have a young child, and there we go. It's standing on top of it. I think I need to just bring it up.
Now,
Nice.
I'm going to stop that. That just gives you a flavour of the other platform that we're going to be in later on today, Rumi, which also has some great tools. Daniel, you're a fan of Rumi, I think, as well, yeah?
I am a big fan of Rumi. Yeah, it does some things very well in a way that other platforms don't. It's the nice thing about having an option, a range of platforms. You know, you have relative strengths, so you can pick and choose. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Right, so this is really the first event, just to kick off the conversation, obviously talk a little bit about myself, Daniel, and his Educators in VR community, raise awareness for the cause of this, because, you know, I will be mentioning it throughout the day, but I don't want to keep harping on about it. So it's really just to kind of set the scene. And this is the V language learning group that I'm involved with the Educators in VR community. If you don't know that, come along, educatorsinvr.com. There's also a Discord channel, lots of conversations going on. Please check them out. Check out Gold Lotus Co as well. And that's it really. You know, it's 10:53 here. We're going to kind of get people in and out for the next one. Happy if you could stay and join us for the next talk from Federico, who's out in South Korea at the moment. He's Italian by birth, and he's going to talk to us about immersive reading and how to build your reading skills. There he is, standing on the chair with his dirty shoes.
So
Hi, Federico.
Michael.
Sorry for that.
Yeah.
when you say people in and out, does the room stay open? Or do people...
Great point.
Okay.
So we're here in blocks, okay? So this is the first of 4 hours in all space. So this route where, you can stay here basically if you want. And then in 3 hours, we're going to be moving to Engage for a couple of hours, and then we're going to be back in here. So just keep your eye on the calendar, and the calendar is on the Educators in VR website as well.
Wonderful.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
Michael,
thanks very much,
great
everybody.
this morning. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump back in with my family. I'm going to miss your talk, Federico. I'll watch it on YouTube. Piacere di conoscerle. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much, everybody. Great kickoff, Michael. Really, really excited. I'll be jumping in and out today for sure. Try and see you on Engage and Rumi later on. Enjoy, everybody. Vielen Dank. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Grazie. And how do you say in Spanish? Is it grazie in Spanish?
Gracias.
No. Gracias. That's the one. That's the one.
Excellent.
Thank you very much, Michael.
You win the prize.
See you guys soon.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys around.
Cheers.
Right.
Cheers, Daniel.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
All right. Well, Federico, this is the front slide. Can you see the introductory slide there, Federico? Yeah, just...
Yeah, I can.
That hour two. Okay, great. Now, I'm just going to... So, excuse me, everybody. We're just going to do some tests. Make sure we can see Federico's slides, because he's got some great things to show us. And I'm going to now move to the next slide, which is your first one. Can you see that?
Nice, yeah. Very smooth.
Great. Now, okay, cool. So, I should have said this to you before, but actually, I hope it's okay if I just click forward. So if you just kind of wave at me or say next slide, then I can do that.
And I will move a bit on the side so that I can see the screen.
Yeah. I'll move out the way as well. Oh, I'll stand. There we go. Okay, well, we've got about 5 minutes or so. If you want to grab a drink, I'm going to get a glass of water now. So if you see my head tilt down towards the floor, don't worry, I've not fallen asleep. So I'm going to get that glass of water, and in about 3-4 minutes, we're going to kick off with Federico. So I'll be back in a moment.
Yeah, see you later.
Ciao Federico, volevo dire mille grazie a tutto il lavoro che stai facendo per noi, anche la presentazione che stai dimostrando a noi oggi.
Un piacere, grazie.
Prego.
No problem, it's my bad.
Ciao Benaka.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you too. What do you need me to do?
So what we've been doing with moderators is just we never really know who's going to come into the room and what disruptions they may cause. So some people come in just for no other reason than just to be disrupt, right? Yeah. So if we haven't been muting everybody in the room, and so if you're hearing feedback or something or somebody's talking, maybe just send them a message and get them to mute themselves if they don't do it for them. You have the right to do that. When you mute them, as a moderator, when you mute somebody, you're muting them for the whole room. And then the other thing is,
So
if somebody's doing something inappropriate, feel free to kick them.
I don't know if Michael. Hello, ciao. I don't know if Michael will remind you, but when you start your talk, if you go to host tools at the bottom right, and click on amplify my voice when you start talking.
Yeah, great. I will do that.
Because
I'm excited for this.
Like they shouldn't have to be told.
It is 6 a.m. here, and I'm very excited to hear your talk. So.
And are in
good.
like,
where are you?
You know, you can
I'm
send
in
them a
New
message
York,
and ask them to move
on the East Coast of the United
So
States.
just general stuff like that. You know,
Here
just
it's
being good
7
citizens in a room.
Yeah, no problem. But you got to give me those right. No, Kiko. Okay, good. I'm good. I've got all the tools I need.
Yeah, I think you do. Okay. And I'm around if you have any questions. Feel free to ask me. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Are you kidding? Thank you
Donna.
very much. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go back there.
Who's talking to me?
For the talk.
Hey, yeah, okay, sounds good. Hey, Pen Maker, how are you? Pen Maker. Oh, I haven't seen you before. Who is talking to me? Hi.
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
I'm good, thank you. Are you good? Did you guys enjoy that first hour?
Oh, hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, how are you?
Hey,
How are you?
Louis.
Yeah?
Is it Louis or
It's
Louis?
interesting, eh? I really
Yeah.
I'm excited that you guys are here.
Louis Dupin.
I'm so glad that
Yeah,
you guys
that's
came.
me.
Yeah,
I'm going
nice
to
see
moderate
you.
the room with you.
It's so great to
Excellent.
today.
Thanks very much for coming.
so great to see
Excellent.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you
no,
very much.
my pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank
Okay.
you. That's very nice.
Cool. So if
So-
I have any problems, I'll come straight to you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to try and check to see if everything's going fine. If there's any problem, just come straight to me and
exactly. I can only
I'll deal with it.
imagine how you feel.
Will do. Thanks.
Wow.
Thanks, Louis. Thanks, Shaz.
I'm also moderating as well. So nice to meet you, Louis.
Hi.
I'm
Very
good.
timely
I moderated for about 3 days straight during the educators VR event, so I'm able to help as well if needed.
Events. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just caught up on the sleep. So yeah, this is going to be an action-packed 23 hours left now. So I really appreciate you guys backing me up. And actually, I didn't turn on before the host panel with the questions because I think we've got everybody kind of on loudspeaker potentially, or just they're not muted, which is nice.
No, we're that's one of the other things is we're just kind of individually muting people if we hear feedback or something like that. As I think I heard Donna say downstairs as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, Michael. Hi, how are you?
Good morning. Yeah, not too bad. You're up late.
You know, actually, it's the other side of the clock that's wrong for me. I work nights, so I usually go to bed at about 8 or 9 a.m. Mountain Time.
Okay.
So this is my prime time.
Excellent.
12 hours from now, not so much.
I'll remember that. Good. Well, thanks a lot for everything, Donna. This looks great as well. The pictures up there.
Yeah,
I
the
think
photos
we can-
are okay. I'll go and add them to
they're
the other
wonderful.
rooms then, so that you have them for the other rooms too.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. You know, I really like this room. I'm happy to just kind of stay here, to be honest. If there's...
Okay.
Grande. Hang on. What I mean is, every event has, like, we've just used a template. So when we add pictures, we just have to go into each one of Altspace events. So we've got 6 events. I'll just go put the pictures, like, just because I put them in this one, even though you're in the same space next time, I still have to add the pictures to it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so we're in this room for the whole day in Altspace.
Excellent. That's
He's working.
Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay. Well, you know where I am. Shout if you need anything, Discord or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks, Donna.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hi, Donna.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Just a question. I wanted to create an event with this location, with this template, but I wasn't able to put the slide on the screen because it wasn't available, the link.
Come, follow me. Follow me.
Yep.
Okay, everybody, right. There we go. It's 11:01 where I am. 10 o'clock in the morning for the people out in the UK and 3 in the morning for Pacific time, I think. Don't know what time it is in Tokyo. It's probably dinner time.